Hi, Paris. Due to technical issues, I started the live again. I don't know what's going on wrong. So this is Medley with MaddiE, and I'm Maddie Dawson. This is episode number 39 of myView on Books, and in this episode, we're going to look at Lee Child's Tripwire Jack Reacher series. This is the third book in the Jack Reacher series, and if you know about Lee Child, you know he's very famous and popular just for Jack Reacher series. So there's around 25 plus books in Jack Reacher series alone, and Tom Cruise has acted in a couple of movies, and there's a series, new Amazon Prime series. They have done one season, and I'm waiting for the second season. As I was saying. This Jack Reacher books were one of the crucial elements in my reading life. So during my childhood, I remember I used to read Jack Reacher's novels, and those were abridged version, not the complete novel. And I really enjoyed reading those, novels. And yeah, sound is good. It's basically action thriller. So you have a good story, and the narrative is captivating. It doesn't have dull moments, and there's going to be a lot of action scenes in between, and then it's going to be a twist. Now and then there's going to be a twist, and that you don't see it coming. So that's what impresses you because you never saw that coming, and it's like 500 pages of thrilling narrative, and I've been reading from the first book, so especially from 2020, I guess. So first book is Die Trying, I think. If you see, yeah, you can see here Die Trying. Sorry, here Die Trying, Never Go Back, and then Tripwire, which is this one. Let me just enable the cover. Yeah, today the book that I've read this year is Tripwire. I started in January and I completed it in February, 2 months. It's 530 pages, so it's a pretty long story and a long book, and it will take some time unless you are reading it daily and trying to finish it quickly. So the story is simple, right? So it revolves around Jack Reacher. There is some mystery, or what do you say, a murder happens, and then he's trying to do the detective work and try to solve it, and then he meets new people, and there's going to be a villain, who's going to be the antagonist for the story, and Jack Reacher will be the obviously the protagonist, and he'll team up with a female lead character, and then all of them then fight the villain. So that's the same template is employed here, but then it's a stereotype, right? But then how he makes it interesting is like the story, the background setting, and on what theme the story happens. So in the first book, it's about counterfeit money, and it was very interesting to read about how counterfeit money, especially American dollars, was working. And in the second book, it was about kidnapping, and then there is this group of revolutionists who is trying to form a country just below, in between the North American and South American continent, and they are launching a war against America. That was kind of pretty amusing. But then, how did they manage to pull it off? And if you have watched the first season of Jack Reacher series in Amazon Prime, you would know. So he goes to a village there. That is the first book, where he goes to a village. I mean, not village, town, and then he finds things odd. His elder brother is murdered, and he solves that murder and tries reveals a very criminal organization. And they've been involved in this counterfeit production, counterfeit money, and that was the first book. Second book was about kidnapping of the daughter of very famous White House, what do you say, important VIP, White House VIP, and then these revolutionary groups trying to create a country outside America. So that was the second book. The third book, hi Simon Walker, book buddy, nice to meet you. Thank you for dropping by. So the third book, Tripwire, the theme is Vietnam War. So, and you learn a lot about Vietnam War. So the antagonist is a soldier who was in Vietnam, who was in World War. No, Vietnam War, exactly. Yeah, World War Two. His parents were involved in World War Two. So the villain is a guy or a soldier, especially he's a pilot, helicopter pilot, who served for America in Vietnam War, and he's missing in action basically. Okay, so his parents are searching for him. They have been fooled that this guy, this son, his name is basically Victor Truman Hobby. So this Victor Hobby is still alive, and their parents are in hope that they can find their son back and meet him. They are feeling proud that he served the country in the Vietnam War, but then it's reported that he's missing in action, so they are believing that he's just alive. He's not dead yet. Just because he's missing in action, he's not dead. He's alive. They want to find him, and somehow, so Jack Reacher, I'm not telling you how, but somehow Jack Reacher gets involved in this, and he tries to find Victor Truman Hobby. So initially the story starts in a way that Jack Reacher has run out of money, so he starts digging pools. So basically labor job, and he's not settled, but he's been living in this particular area for a long period of time, and he's digging pools for his survival. Basically to have food. You need money at the end of the day. You need money to have food, right? So yeah, that's what he's doing. So he's meeting odd ends and digging pools to earn some money and sustain his life. And that's when a private investigator walks into a bar and comes and asks him, "Do you know Jack Reacher?" And he's very protective, and he has this protective shield, right? So you cannot give away your identity immediately. So he says that. No, I do not know, because the private investigator inquires him, like, I heard that Jack Reacher comes to this bar every day afternoon and he has water, and he tells all the details, but Jack Reacher denies. No, I do not know about him, but then if I know, I'll let you know. So he's kind of skeptic, why this weird looking guy, a private investigator, comes and asks about Jack Reacher himself. So, but then in a few hours, the private investigator is murdered, and then Jack Reacher feels guilty that he was responsible for the death. Maybe if he had revealed his identity, he was looking for help. So he might be looking for help, a kind of detective work. So, but then since he did not reveal, he ended up being dead. So that's how Jack Reacher gets involved in this huge plot. And this Victor Truman Hobby, he becomes Hook Hobby, and he's the villain. So Hook Hobby, because in the Vietnam War, when it's reported that missing in action, so it's basically an accident. Okay, so they go to this place occupied by the Vietnamese, and there are a couple of American soldiers there. So they are planning to go and recover them, and they go with a helicopter, and the helicopter pilot is Victor Truman Hobby. And this should be in the 70s. I think the Vietnam War happened in 70s. So he goes there, but then the Vietnamese soldiers started firing, and then the helicopter catches fire, the fuel tank explodes. So totally there are four or five guys inside the helicopter, and everybody is burned to death. And the helicopter goes and hits the ground. It's very jungle, very intense, or what do you say, dense jungle. And they couldn't track, or did not find out what happened. So they just saw the helicopter exploding. The other soldiers, American soldiers, or the officials, and they reported that all five were missing in action, and they could not recover body. So it was reported that Victor Truman Hobby, the pilot, was missing in action. But then he survived it, and he became Hook Hobby because he lost his hand, and then his skin got burned. So somehow he survived, and he came back to America, and he has this own created his own secret identity, and he's giving out loans to corporates, very huge corporates, and renowned corporates. And he basically buys some stocks and becomes the part ownership, not the complete ownership, but then part ownership. And basically he's like the bad guy, money launderer, that's what they call. So that's the story of the villain. So as you can see, why it's like a huge lengthy book, and 500 plus pages. So you have the backstory for the villain, for Jack Reacher, what he's doing, and when these new characters come into picture, like private detective, and Jack Reacher meets for the female lead, there's a cousin character now, Jodie. Every book there's a female pair for Jack Reacher, and the pair will be only for that series, for that one book, and every book he'll have a new pair. But then this book, I found it surprising that in the end there was no signs of ending the relationship. They still were in relationship. So Jodie is her cousin, and they team up to find the antagonist, who Hobby, and how the plot makes them counter forces. So how Victor Hobby and Jack Reacher become face. I mean, what is it? Why do they have to fight with each other? And what happens? Did Jack Reacher win or not? That's the whole story. And I felt I did not feel this in the first two book, but in the third book I felt there were some moments it was too boring or like too lengthy. Uh, yeah, a lot of character development. Too lengthy. I thought, I was thinking many occasions when I was reading the book, I was thinking they should have cut short. There's too much, Suppose there is a building, where Jack Reacher goes to a library, and as you know, if you have read books, in most of the authors, 99% of the authors would take at least 1 or 2 pages to explain or depict what's the actual or physical position, or what do you say, the depiction of a place, like from how's the table arranged, what color is the desk, and what are the things in the room, how's the book stacked. So basically a depiction of a location. And in Jack Reacher books, the Lee Child author as would be very extensive, and you would have explained in very thorough manner, incisive thorough manner, and that's what is there in third book as well. But I felt in a lot of places it could have been cut short. But then the final chapter, so there are two things I want to talk about. First is fragging. I learned new thing called in military, especially in American military, there is something called fragging, and it means that the own soldiers will try to kill their boss or superior officers by trying to make it look like a suicide. I mean, what do you say? Kill in action. Like they throw a grenade at the officer and during combat, so nobody will know that the American soldier is the one who threw the grenade, and the superior officer was killed because of that. So if they find out, it's called fragging, or else it's like, okay, because of the enemy soldiers warfare, the superior officer got killed. So usually they do this for two reasons. One, to I think the main thing is to Vietnam War was so horrible for America. Most of the soldiers did not like there, to be in action fighting for America. So they were actually hating the war while they were in combat in Vietnam. So they wanted to get out of there. So that was one reason where fragging became. It was actually what do you say, profound in during Vietnam War. And other reason is, I think, basically if you kill your superior officer, then you might become or what do you say, you are in line to become the next higher level. But I think the most important reason was to get away from the Vietnam country. They didn't want to fight there. They know that it's a war that is being lost. So most of them wanted to just find a reason to get out of there. And this fragging was one of the good reasons. They killed their superior officer, and then the whole unit would be in question mark, and they would be retrieved back. So that's how fragging came into picture. So this was a very important learning, and this is in fact is based on two true stories, right? It's not something it's fictional, right? Just for the novel he did not create this aspect. So it's something that happened actually during Vietnam War, and lot of references, right? So they talk about Vietnam War, how and also there's something called postmortem, and after that, even after postmortem, when the skeleton is left over, there is a separate group of study, or what you say, specialists who look at the skeletons and find out how they died. So in postmortem, certain doctors will not be able to exactly identify how the person died, but then these specialists exactly, like looking at the skeleton, they will know like how he died, and based on the remains, like if it is having only skull or collarbone or something. So it's like basically skeleton specialist, but then they figure out how they died in war. And it was interesting to know such kind of specialists exist in real life. And then the last chapter, as you're saying, another important thing. So I felt these boring moments, but then still the narration was holding on. Okay, I did not. The story was not boring. Just then, a number of occasions, the depiction became boring. The story was never boring. And the last chapter, so the female lead character's name is Jodie. So she makes a call. She's held by the villain, who Kobe. So she's been kidnapped, and she's trying to make a call, and she should not reveal that she's kidnapped. Okay, so she calls Jack Reacher, and when he picks up, she just says, "Okay, Jack, where are you?" And she says that come to this location as soon as possible. No, nothing dangerous or urgent. Just try to come to this location as well. Okay, so this last chapter, the author has given a backstory for Jack Reacher name, like how he was named, why he was named Jack Reacher, and his father is a guy who loves very short names, and he didn't want a middle name, just Jack Reacher, two names, and everybody calls him Reacher, Reacher, Reacher. His brother name was I forgot. This again, his brother name also has two names, but then they call him by the first name. They don't call him Reacher, but Jack Reacher, they call him just Reacher. Everybody, mom, dad, friends, associates in military, mates, and all his love affairs, dates, everybody calls him Reacher. Okay, so that's the norm. So whenever and when anybody calls him Reacher, it's a normal situation. But in the last chapter, when this Jodie, the female lead, has been kidnapped by the villain, and she makes a call and calls him Jack, so that's like a trigger word for him, and he's like immediately sensing a danger. Nobody calls me Jack, but she called me Jack, so there is something wrong. I think she's kidnapped. So without she saying anything, Jack Reacher figures out that she's been kidnapped, and it's time for him to go into action and rescue the heroine. So I that hype, right? How he figures out that the lead, I mean female lead, is in danger just by the word Jack, and it was like very goosebump kind of moments, and it's like 3-4 pages long, the backstory. It starts with how his father, when Jack Reacher was born, he already registered the name Jack Reacher and then came to meet the baby. So that was so thrilling to read. That last chapter kind of nullified all the dull moments that I felt during the book, and it's always worth to read a Jack Reacher book, especially if you're a fan of thriller, action, and then detective stories. So it's a combination of thriller, action, and detective stories. It is a treat, like it's a biryani for you. If you want to simplify it, then I should call it like biryani of books. So if you want, everybody craves for biryani, right? Especially if you're an Indian, South Indian, and yeah, you may eat so many dishes, but you'll always crave for biryani. And this Jack Reacher series is one such novel. There are fans for Sherlock Holmes, and there are fans for Agatha Christie murder mystery. Sherlock Holmes is detective stories, but this is the modern, what do you say? Jack Reacher is a modern, what do you say, trend, or trending character. So it's there is movies. Tom Cruise has acted in 2 movies. I don't know whether they're going to continue. I like Tom Cruise playing Jack Reacher, but then the Amazon Prime series is more what do you say, satisfying for a reader, and especially that guy, I forgot his name, the guy who acted as Jack Reacher in the series is like literally a beast. You should look at him. And when I read this book, I actually watched that series, right? So after watching that series, when I was reading this book, I could only imagine this guy in the series, not even Tom Cruise. So I was just imagining this guy who played in the series as Jack Reacher. I couldn't get that imagination out of him. Like I imagine that he's Jack Reacher and he's going to places and fighting with the villain. So it was so convincing, this guy. So you should definitely check it out. Amazon Prime, they have made the story of first book, I think, yeah, yeah, Die Trying. The story of Die Trying as season 1, around 8 episodes, and they have done justice to the book. I felt really satisfying watching the series, all the episodes, because I read the book, I know the story. I was like looking forward to how they made this scene. There was one particular fight scene where I was looking forward to, and it was really good, and I really liked it. So I am looking forward to more seasons, and I think they have renewed, and they are in the production is in progress. And as usual, I will read one Jack Reacher book every year. So yeah, do purchase it and read it. Now coming back to live chat, Sam Manohar, hello, hi, Mufiato. I hope that's a greeting, Mufiato back. So they have a lot of character development. Yeah. So in Tripwire, the main characters are obviously Jack Reacher, and then in the first few chapters, Costello is a private investigator, but he's killed basically, so he'll be no more. And then Jodie. Jodie is the female lead in this book. She is the cousin of Jack Reacher and Jack Reacher. They have a huge age difference, and both of them have crush towards each other. and during the story or when the events progress, they reveal their crush and they actually basically become, what do you say, lovebirds. And then next is Hook Hobby. Hook Hobby is the villain. As I told you, there is a huge twist in the climax. I have not revealed, and Hook Hobby's character has been developed so good. It's like one of those standard or mind blowing villains for a movie. So if this story is made into a movie, I'm looking forward to this character, how this character acts or is portrayed in the movie. Hook Hobby. He'll be having like if you have read Moby Dick. Moby Dick, the guy has that hook, right? So similarly, he'll be having a hook in his hand. So since the sand was, what do you say, lacerated or cut because of that helicopter accident in Vietnam war times, so he kind of had a prosthetics hand installed, and instead of going for fingers, prosthetic fingers, he actually took a hook. So he's like that Pakka James Bond villain, and even in one of the James Bond films, there will be a character villain who has a hook, right? So yeah, I'm looking for it. If they make a series or movie out of this story, Tripwire, I'll be more thrilled to watch Hook Hobby. And yeah, Jack Reacher, Jody, Hook Hobby, and apart from them, there is one business CEO of a company, and his wife. So this CEO is kind of like dumb guy. He doesn't, he's not able to save his business, and he ends up, being a victim of Hook Hobby. But then his wife is very intelligent, and this wife's characterization was also very impressive, and she was the one planning, and she and the husband gets kidnapped by Hook Hobby, but then she kind of tries to manage the situation, get a hold of the situation. She makes demand like, we need to talk to lawyers, we need dress, you should not beat us, we need coffee, we need food. So that characterization, woman empowerment, I felt really good. So Jodie and I forgot her name. So she's basically the wife of the CEO of a company, and I think Chester is the guy's name, the business husband's name, and then he has a wife. So totally 5 characters, I would say. So 3 main characters and 2 supporting characters, and apart from them, there are characters spread over the whole story, supporting them. These main 5 characters, and yeah, the characterizations. To character is very important in a good story, and it has a good story as well as strong characterization. So as I said, the 17th chapter, the last chapter, and the name, the prelude to how Jack Reacher was named, and why everybody calls him Reacher, and he got used to it. So whenever somebody calls you Reacher, so if you see, if your name is Sam Manover, let's take Sam Manover. If everybody calls you Sam, and you are used to that, right? So when somebody calls you Sam, it's like a normal situation. Hi, bye, Sam, that's all. But somebody calls you Manover, and then like you turn back and it's like, what's wrong? So that's how that prelude and background of how Jack Reacher was named, and how he identifies. She just says, "Hello, Jack. Where are you? Can you come to this location in 2 hours? Nothing dangerous." And she's being held in a gun. Okay, so she's held at a gun, like, and that was really very good. 17th chapter, especially for the 17th chapter, you should read the whole story. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this Mafioso's way how goblins create. Oh, you're still in the Hogwarts Legacy. It's on Thursday. Yeah, Mafioso. Back to you, Mafioso. Yeah, but Goosebumps is like half of the book's depiction of the location, and that's what makes it interesting. Yes, you will never have paucity, and that means a lack or wanting for description of a location in Jack Reacher books. The author spends at least 2-3 pages depicting a location itself, and then he'll take the character to that location, and he creates this thrilling narrative using the objects or the location, where the sun is, where the trees are there, and where the sun is shining, and where these villains or thugs, who's trying to take down the main characters are, seated or hiding. So the thrilling narrative, it's creative in Jack Reacher books. Reacher is like one damn good author who can weave very good thriller narrative, and yeah, I think the inbuilt before watching Hollywood, the inbuilt craving for action was from Jack Reacher novel, reading Jack Reacher novels. As I told before, in my childhood, I think the first book or the first books that I would have read, I remember now, if I recollect now, it's gonna be Jack Reacher. I would have back then, Reader's Digest was giving out this abridged versions of novels, and four novels in a single hard copy book, and one of them used to be Jack Reacher novel, and I really enjoyed reading that. So yeah, yeah, I get it. There was an incident when my friends were shouting 1 hour outside my house, and I went out and so yeah. So yes, do if you're reading this book, definitely that 17th chapter will give you goosebumps and thrills, and you will feel so satisfying reading the whole story. And yeah, you see, we have talked for more than 20 minutes, and that's how much I love Jack Reacher books. And usually I read, every year one book, because it's pretty long, 500 pages, minimum 500 pages. So I usually, in January, I pick up a Jack Reacher book and try to finish it by February. And this year, it's done. Goal achieved. So next year, I'll meet you in with another Jack Reacher book. But then our my view on books will continue. It's the 39 episode. I'm looking forward to the 50th episode. 11 more book episodes, and we'll be hitting 50 episodes. That will be a colossal thing and a great achievement, especially being a reader and a YouTuber, having a channel and then broadcasting 50 episodes of book reviews is something awesome. Whether your reviews are good or not, but you have kept on talking, persistence and perseverance. You kept on talking about books, and my episodes are mostly on what I experienced or what I felt when I read a book. So yeah, it's not like a review, but more of my feelings and experience. So I'm sure most of you would have the same feelings, but everybody has different tastes. So definitely some of them would not have the same experience. But still, I would recommend you good books, and Jack Reacher is one of those damn good books, novels, action thriller novels that you should read. So check it out. The first book is Die Trying, second book's Never Go Back, and third is Tripwire. I have to move to see the third. Yes, Echo. I think Echo, or what is it? Nothing. Tripwire is here. Nothing to lose, I guess. Should be nothing to lose. And his titles are amazing, like James Bond movies, he tries to keep his title in a very amusing or attractive manner. Mission passed, respect plus plus. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this episode. As usual, our schedule is on tomorrow. Days Gone, Zombie Game. I'm so looking forward to it. And then Wednesday, another movie. I'm not sure whether Wednesday I can do an episode on movies, because I think I have a shoot on Wednesday, movie shoot. So most probably I can't come alive. Come live. But then let me see how I can pull it off. And Thursday, Hogwarts Legacy. Friday, it's going to be a very interesting movie. I think the poster is out in the community lab. Do check it out. It's called Black Mamba. It's the first ever dark comedy that we have tried out, and it has come out really, brilliantly well. And I'm so looking forward to see the response of Black Mamba, especially Blade Black. The first action thriller movie was received so well. Everybody was, kind of amused watching it. Nobody, a lot of people appreciated the music. As you said, zero budget movies, we tend to use Hollywood soundtracks, and especially as an editor, I don't know, I'm developing this habit of finding great music for my movies. So yeah, it was really good. I kept watching it again and again, even after releasing it. And Black Mamba will be a family entertainer, and it's a dark comedy. It's going to be super fun, and it's one of those rare movies where I have tried out comedy, where as I acted and tried out comedy, not directed, but then I acted and tried to be a comical character. So do look forward to Black Farmer. I'm like, I can't wait for Friday, man. Yeah, dude, what are you searching in the green screen? But you can't see the green screen. It's just books. Okay. Yeah, I've spoken a lot. And see you until next episode. You're watching MaddiE with MaddiE. Who's that MaddiE? I'm that MaddiE. Bye bye. Yeah, I've spoken a lot. And see you in the next episode. You're watching MaddiE with MaddiE. Who's that MaddiE? I'm that MaddiE.